What's going on, guys? Whoever might be watching this. Um, it's been a while since I put something out there on YouTube, and I just kind of had the itch to get in front of a webcam and a mic and just riff. Um, and so there isn't really a script around this. This is kind of just like a therapy session for me, I guess you could say. And I just feel like I just needed to talk. I don't know. I had a friend. I basically told a friend that I wanted to do this, and I was just like, based on what you know about me, just send me some questions or quotes, and I'll read it, and I'll riff off of it. Um, so that's what I'm gonna do today. And I don't know if anybody is ever gonna see this, but maybe so. Um, so a little bit about me before I do this. So I own a business. Um, and I think Alex Ramosi said this, but he said that a lot of people say they own a business, but when someone says they own a business and it's just a piece of crap, it's called being a entrepreneur. I'm definitely in that stage right now. I can acknowledge that fact, that this is a starting thing, but I believe in it heavily, and I believe it's going to impact a lot of people's lives, and I believe it's a great product. And so anyway, yeah, that's what I'm doing. Not making a lot of money. Kind of gave up everything to do this, which is cool. I'm enjoying it. But anyways, I guess we'll just jump right into it. Not really gonna jibber jabber too much. The first question, or I guess not really a question. I know I'm meant for more, but I'm tired. Okay. Um, I don't even know where to start with that. I feel like, I guess for me, I've always kind of felt like I was destined for, I don't know, something greater. I don't know what. Um, just to have an impact on people's lives. And I guess whenever you describe or whenever you think about the term something greater, I want to be something greater. I want to be something better. You kind of have to define that. What is the definition of something greater? And I feel like that's just a personal perspective. What is something greater for you? Um, and I feel like in my image of myself, something greater is something that is beyond the baseline of what humanity is, or what humans do on a baseline, if that makes sense. Um, I guess for me, being from Louisiana, like there are a lot of people that graduate high school, go to a year of trade school, and then spend their whole life in plants, or working in some type of factory or construction or what have you. And like I said, the definition of something greater is all perceived on the human who's claiming that they want to be something greater. And if somebody wants to graduate high school, get married, have a family, and work in one of those jobs, and I feel like that is their definition of being greater, is showing up as a husband and a father and a provider. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I guess for me, something greater is just having an impact on other people, whether that be through the business that I'm starting, whether that be through my one desire to do something like this is podcasting, and um, maybe just bringing light to somebody. And I guess for me, why this is so appealing is just because, like, whenever I seek advice, whenever I have sought advice in the past, whenever I just like felt down about myself, or I was really looking for something to hear, I would always listen to podcasts, and I would sit there and listen. I still do listen for hours in my car, in the gym. I've taken a lot of nuggets that I've heard in podcasts, and it's greatly affected me in my life. And I feel like that's why this is something that I'm trying. And uh, I guess the I'm tired part in my head, I define the I'm tired part as it's it is extremely exhausting clawing at something and living in the mundane. it's draining on your mental health. It's draining on just you, right? Just getting up and doing the not sexy things every single day in hopes that, the thing that you're working on is going to pan out. And that's that's a bit tiring. Like that, the whole process of getting up every day, building something, creating something that might blow up in your face. And I'm honestly blessed to be in the position I'm in. Like I live really cheap. I don't have a kid or wife or anything. And, I don't have much responsibility. So I can just dedicate like every waking second to, you know, the man that I want to become. And, um, but in doing that, in the process of doing that, uh, it's a very difficult and treacherous journey. And you talk to anybody that's successful and anybody that uh, anybody that's my view of successful. Let me reiterate that, which is, they're making they build something, they're making an impact on people's lives. People respect and listen to them. Um, you know, and you talk to somebody like that, it's always like, yeah, dude, those first, 5 years, dude, like sometimes you want to just stay in bed. Um, but it's like as they say, the person who gets up and does the same mundane thing every day to reach the goal that they don't know when they're going to reach it. The person who can do that over and over again and stay in the best mood, that's the person who's going to be successful. And that's what I've been trying to be lately. Been trying to ignore the exhaustion. I've been trying to just rough it. Um, and it's cool. Like I'm not sitting here complaining. I think I could do the opposite because I feel like I'm in a position where I've made connections that I never thought I would be able to make. Like even these past 2 weeks, I've been in rooms and meetings with people that are actually listening to what I have to say, and they are like just miles past me, and I'm grateful for that. I can see that God is doing something every day, right? It's just up to me to show up. And even when I feel like, oh, there's just so much to do, and like I would rather just, I mean, it's my business. Like I could just whatever, um, just keep pushing through it. So, um, yeah, like if exhaustion is what's keeping you back from doing something great, I feel like you kind of have to check yourself, check your values because everybody's tired. You talk to somebody who is settled for, a 9 to 5 job, they're exhausted every day, right? They get up, they don't want to go to work, right? They get home, they don't, you're right, they want some alone time maybe. Everybody has some form of exhaustion, and you know, the greater the greater the thing that you try to accomplish, the more tiring it's going to be, the more hard it's going to be. You just got to choose like, hey, this is the hard thing that I'm choosing, right? Because I want to make a difference in people's lives. And now it's like I'm acting like I'm giving advice, but like maybe I am. I don't know. I'm kind of in the thick of it. So, um, all right. Well, that was the first one. Let's see. Ooh, okay, I like this one. I miss the version of life where the scoreboard was obvious. Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely easier. Um, like even like I was a played Division 1 college football for 4 years, and don't get me wrong, like the workouts and the eating right and just the exhaustion of heat and you know playing football on a turf field in South Louisiana is not the it's not the most sought after thing to do, but I will say that compared to this is so much easier. Just because, before the season starts, whatever season that is, fall season, spring season, um, you know exactly what your days look like. You wake up, you go to this class, you get out, you go eat, you lift, then you go practice and then you go to another class, and then you go home, and then you sleep, and then you do your next scheduled day. It's like all put there for you. Um, and then getting to a spot where like it's like the scoreboard is not obvious. Like I can feel like I'm doing a lot of things, but there's always that thing like right in your head that's like, dude, it could implode. It could literally blow up in your face, and you kind of just have to accept that, which is fine. um it is a bit daunting though, because like, yeah, you put a lot of time in your life into building this thing, and you're putting a lot of hope on it, and there's a chance it doesn't work out. And I also know in my brain, if it doesn't work out, then I'm just gonna go on to the next thing, and which is fine. But at the same time, it's like, man, I just want I want to I want to do something and then it do something for people, right? I don't want to start something and then it not work, which has happened. It's happened countless times for me, especially after college. Me just getting into things and then the thing doesn't work, and then I really give it my all, and then I just the input to output is just very unequal, and I feel like I'm putting more in than I need to be for something that's not giving me anything. Um, and so that's when you kind of just move to the next thing. And but the thing that I'm doing now has definitely been the most promising, as in there are people that are way above my pay grade that believe in this thing, and I'm super excited about it. And it's next week I'm going to be speaking to 20 people that are owners of pretty large businesses trying to sell this thing, and that's pretty intimidating, right? I'm 24. I know I look like I'm 40, um, but it's also awesome at the same time, and it gives me so much hope, and I'm excited about it. And I think that's kind of the addiction, the thrill. Once you kind of get on the side where you see what life that you could live, you see it on the other side of the fence. Now just getting over the fence is the problem that you have to solve. And now that you know what's over the fence, there's no chance in hell that you don't climb over that fence or don't try to climb over that fence. And I feel like that's kind of the spot that I'm at. It's I see what could be, and I really love that picture, and I want to get there. And even though I don't know the hills and valleys that come into climbing the thing to get there, I am willing to bear that short-term cost in order for the long-term goal, if that makes any type of sense. Um, so I know that it's going to be mundane, and uh, some days it's going to be mundane, some days it's going to be like, holy cow, like, whoa, like this is happening. And like it's ups and downs and ups and downs, and um, just risks that you constantly have to take. And but at the same time, it's like when I look at it, if it does fail, if it does fail, all right, I'm 24. I pretty much only have a truck and rent that's really not that expensive. Um, I'm not married. I'm not tied down to any place, a bill. I'm not tied down to a specific location. Um, if it fails, okay, cool. And I feel like that's kind of the like it can seem so much bigger, whenever you think about, oh, this is my business, like I'm doing this, and in your head it's so big, but in reality it's like, okay, let's say it does explode and nothing happens, then what? then you're still living in the same place with the same truck, and you just have to find out a way to make very little money. Like it's not the end of the world like a lot of people might think it would be. All right. So the next question is, am I chasing purpose or am I chasing proof? Um, this was something that I kind of struggled with for a little while, because I feel like I was chasing validation, as in, I'd be so sick to be rich so I could have all these cool things and, um, live that lifestyle and be the baller and whatever. Um, but that has very much changed recently. Just because I haven't been in a place where I have gotten validated at all. I'm pretty absent on social media, and I don't go out much. And the thing that I'm doing has kind of turned into like a me versus me, which I feel like needed to happen. I feel like I needed to be kind of alone, and I needed to wrestle with my thoughts and have ideas and, really understand like what, the magnitude that I could have as far as like making a difference in people's lives, and that it's not about me. But in doing good for other people, good will happen to you, and I truly believe that. And that's just kind of how I'm living day to day. Is now is how can I make this thing that I'm making as impactful and beneficial to the people that are going to use it and spend money to use it. And I feel like uh, in doing that, this process has been a lot longer than the processes that or the ventures that I've been on before. Whereas, like, I'm gonna try something so I can make as much money as quick as possible, and live in a cool place and have a cool car and whatever. And those things are the idea looks sexy. The idea of it working out looks sexy, and then 2 weeks later, when it doesn't work out, it don't look as sexy. And and you just get into it for the wrong reasons from the jump, and that's why it doesn't work. And uh, so now it's kind of a thing that I'm doing this thing every day, and I don't really know when it's gonna hit. I don't really know when it's gonna make money. I feel like I'm getting to the point where it's about to start ramping up, which is awesome. But I still really don't know, and but that's okay because I know that I've put a lot of work into doing this thing, and I have a strong belief that whoever does use it will be 100% impacted, and that's that's cool with me. And I've been broke for so long. Um, you know, Now it's kind of just like this is just like my life. You know, Not being broke. Like I don't want to be broke forever, but as far as like I'm not putting a time stamp on when I need to be rich, right? Um, you just have to live it day by day, and the more that you wake up and do the mundane things and do the boring things that nobody wants to do, and wake up and be disciplined and blah 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 blah, things compound, and you just have to do so much work that there's no reasonable reason why you would not succeed in whatever you're doing. And that's a new lesson that I'm learning for sure. Because I think back to when this was like my first entrepreneurial venture. Was me and my best friend. We got on TikTok and tried to do the TikTok shop thing with like these microphones and like do the drop shipping thing, and we were like, dude, we're gonna make so much money. Like you can just post videos and people will just buy it from your videos. We're like, hell yeah, we'll do that. And well, we did it for like 2 weeks. We made multiple videos a day. We didn't have one damn sale. One sale. And at the end of those 2 weeks, we're like, okay, we're not doing this. Like this is stupid. But I look back at that and I think that was probably 3 years ago, over 3 years ago, I look back at that and I think, I bet you, I would bet any amount of money in the world that if me and him stuck to that from that day until this moment, we would be beyond successful at that. We would just be killing it. And I feel like that's with anything, you know? If you have a passion about something and you do something every day for however long it takes and you learn as much as you can about whatever thing that you're doing, the more that you sit there and claw and move forward, and even when it feels like you're not moving forward, you are. Um, the more that you just keep pushing the needle, the more the better that you're going to be at whatever you're wanting to do. And I feel like that's just a fact. But the fact that people can't get past that beginning where people probably think you look retarded, and or probably should say that people probably think you look stupid, and people, and you feel stupid, and you're like, why is nobody buying my thing? I'm not making any money, and this, that, and the third. Yeah, it's because you probably don't know anything. You're comparing yourself to people online that have been doing it for years, and you're not having those results. Yeah, they've been doing it for a lot longer than you. It's not that you're dumb or you're stupid. It's not that you don't, like, you can't figure it out. It's just that you haven't given yourself the time to figure it out. And I feel like that's where a lot of people quit. And I mean, it's understandable because that's just human nature. You want stuff to happen quick. And you might think you're a beast and a baller and the best salesman or the best marketer. And then you step in a completely new field that has a lot of promise, but that promise takes a lot of work to reach. And yeah, so I don't even know how I got off to this tangent, but yeah. So all right, let's see what the next one is. Um, the man I want to become requires a death of who I am now. Dude, this is so true. This is so true. Um, it, I even look back to like over a year ago, 2 years ago. I really had to like lose so much in order to find what it was that I wanted to do. And I was, I look back and there was the aspects of, yeah, I want to be extremely successful, but there are also the aspects of, I'm gonna live in today. I'm gonna have fun, right? And I'm not saying fun is bad, but it's just finding yourself requires extreme suffering, extreme sacrifice, and an insurmountable amount of self-reflection. And you can't do that whenever you're drowning out those times where you need to be in here thinking about what you want by going out to the bar all the time or doom scrolling on Instagram or, you know, doing things that you probably shouldn't be doing because it's not moving the needle. And um, that's just, and whenever you kind of cross the bridge of, okay, if I actually want to be successful in whatever thing that I'm pursuing, these things have to go. I have to rebirth myself. And it doesn't make sense to a lot of people. It doesn't make sense to the people that you're hanging out with all the time. It doesn't make sense to the dudes that are sending you memes every day on Instagram, and dude, you haven't responded to me in a long time. But it doesn't need to make sense to anybody. It doesn't need to make sense to your mom. It doesn't need to make sense to your dad. It doesn't need to make sense to your cousins, aunts, uncles, best friends, girlfriends. It doesn't need to make sense to them. It just needs to make sense to you. And if there is a genuine change that you are wanting to make in your life, from an output perspective, there is most likely a huge change that needs to be made internally. And there's a lot of things that you'll have to sacrifice, and a lot of people aren't willing to make those sacrifices. But whenever you do make whatever sacrifice it is that you need to make, um, just know that there's not a lot of people out there willing to do that, and that puts you in a very gives you a very big advantage because you know that you're willing to do things that 99% of the human population are not willing to do. Um, so keep that into perspective whenever that time does come, if that time does come, where you have to reconfigure yourself, reconfigure your mind, reconfigure your purpose, reconfigure your relationships. Just keep that in mind that if it's if you ask yourself the question, if I get rid of this, is it going to help my long-term goal? If that answer is yes, even if it might hurt in the short term, be grateful. Be thankful that you realized it. Be thankful that the thing that was holding you back is no longer holding you back. And you have ample amount of opportunity to do whatever you want now because you let those things go. But in that process of rebirthing yourself, it is, speaking from experience, it is very lonely and confusing and it hurts. It's you feel like you're like are losing pieces of you. And I don't really think you are losing pieces of you. I think you're just discovering pieces of you that you never revealed behind the curtain because you never gave yourself the opportunity to. And whenever those things come to light and you're by yourself and you're not doing things that you were because even though they made you feel good in the short term, you know that it's not going to project to your long term purpose and goals and desires. Um, that time is hard. That's not an easy time. And coming out on the other side seems nearly impossible. Um, it seems like whenever things aren't moving the way that you think that they should be moving, and you're stuck in a position where you've given a lot of things up to be in the position where things aren't moving the way that you think they should be. Man, I mean it's tough, but the thing that you have to keep reminding yourself of whenever you're on that kind of journey is um, I know that in God's due time, I know that I am working at doing the right thing in the purpose that God has laid out in my life. Therefore, I will keep doing it. And I will not go back because it's easier. I will not go back because I'm tired of this discomfort. I will keep pushing forward because I know that I'm doing the thing that I'm supposed to be doing. Easier said than done, but you can do it. All right. Um, all right, so this is a quote. I don't think young men are lazy. I think a lot of us are lost. Um, yes, I mean that kind of goes back to the point I was talking about before, which was 2, 3 years ago, I was extremely ambitious. I had these huge goals and, I wanted these awesome things. But I felt like I was lost. I was um, deep in social media. Like I couldn't even think with the right side of my brain. I think that's the creative side. Um, because my whole world was left brain oriented. I was living my life pretty much behind a screen, and I wasn't, you know, I was looking for all the wrong things. I was looking for what was socially acceptable. I was looking for, I didn't want judgment to be cast upon me, so I'm not gonna do this thing. And um, man, that whenever you kind of realize that's how things have been going, you look back and you're like, dude, doesn't matter. Like you wish you could tell yourself that. Like I bet you everybody that is listening to this wishes they could grab themselves by the neck at whatever point in time before and say it does not matter. Nobody's opinion matters. Do what you want. Um, and it's such a odd topic because it's such a different world that we live in of social media and you know us watching everyone else's lives go on and it being important to us. And like that's not how our brains are supposed to work. Um, I don't think. And it's kind of like whenever you go out in nature for a weekend, or like you go and you leave the phone behind, and you go do something. Um, like you feel good, right? Because your brain is functioning in the right way. You feel a sense of like bliss, and then whenever you are working, and then whenever you don't work, you just scroll, and you don't you go out and you drink, and you are hooking up with everybody and whatever. um you feel like crap, and I feel like everybody knows that, but for some reason it's so hard to just not do those things. It's because it's an addiction. It is a huge addiction, and it's kind of hard to get help from people because everybody else is living the same thing for real, unless you're talking to like a you know just off the grid person. um so yeah, I think a lot of guys really are ambitious, but their dopamine is just so wrecked, right? When it comes to social media, doom scrolling, when it comes to pornography, when it comes to um you know an obsessive amount of drinking and eating sweet food, and not getting out there and um, keeping your dopamine baseline where it needs to be. It's just so high that even though you say you want these things, you're falling into these traps every single day to where you have to do like these super short term uh, activities to make you feel some type of happiness for a very short amount of time. And yeah, I feel like the best thing to do is like delete social media for a while. Get your dopamine level back to a decent point whenever you can go outside and stand there for 1 minute without having to whatever. And just like that's how people need to experience life. Um, is by experiencing life. You know what I mean? Just I, it's such an unhealthy thing to just scroll and like live behind the social media, you know, world, because it's not the world. You're in the world and you're living in another world that does not exist. You're caring about people that have no clue that you're alive. You're uh, you're interested in things that if you weren't interested in, it wouldn't have any impact on you whatsoever. And I feel like whenever you see somebody on YouTube, on Instagram, and you're like, that person has a sick life, you can have that life. You can do these things, but you're sitting around watching everybody else do the thing that you want to do. And the ball is never going to roll unless you push the ball. And yeah, I feel like that statement, I don't think young men are lazy. I think a lot of us are lost. I think just reassessing how we do things day to day and what life really means, is you can't just have scatterbrain all the time. It's like, this is the thing that I'm doing. This is the thing that's going to give me a sense of purpose. I'm going to keep doing this thing, and I'm not going to just constantly distract myself with these dopamine hits. And it's kind of crazy. Once you do that, then things actually, you start feeling things, right? You start feeling love, and you start feeling, a sense of wanting to like give back, and like, and the drive to make something yours, and the internal relationship that you have with your religion, or for me is God. It's just like, you want to talk with God, and you want to be still for a while and listen, think, and write and read and do all these things that are not TikTok, that are not right. Because I mean, when you start doing those things after you've been, years of scrolling, um, dude, it's like everything is just yelling at you. Like you're writing on a piece of paper, and like you can't even get a sentence down because you're thinking about something that you saw on TikTok yesterday. And that's just not a good way to live life. And so I would suggest that for men who do have ambition, and women who do have ambition, um, but you feel like you're lazy, I don't think you're lazy. I just think that the dopamine receptors in your brain are so jacked, and whenever you fix that, you will experience, a newfound ambition to not only desire later things, but desire things to do now, today, that are going to be boring, but are going to propel you to the thing that, you eventually want to be, the man you want to be, or woman. All right. Okay. Next quote. I I'm trying to build something while I'm still being built. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm doing this podcast, and I'm not where I want to be. My goals have not been attained. I'm not there yet. Um, I'm going into these rooms with multimillionaires, business owners, and CEOs, and it's kind of hard not to have a little bit of imposter syndrome, like they're about to listen to this dude, really. Um, but you're in the phase of building, and I feel like people that are successful, people that you feel like you should not be talking to, understand that. People understand the building phase. People can see whenever somebody is in that building phase, whether that person is going to do something in that building phase, and it's okay. It's okay to want to put yourself out there while you're not there. You know what I mean? That's a scary thing, right? It's like, who the hell is gonna want to listen to me? You know, like I'm a broke, just got out of college. I'm a kid. Why are people gonna want to listen to what I have to say? Why are people gonna want to be involved in the ideas that I have? I haven't done anything. Well, in order to have done anything, you have to do something. And you're not going to be able to have any type the reputation that you're claiming not to have unless you build a reputation, and that's uncomfortable. And a lot of people acknowledge that that's uncomfortable, and they can either do the thing that's uncomfortable, or they can avoid the thing. And usually both paths have very separate outcomes. On this, on this side where you're avoiding, it's the outcome is you live a life where you don't build yourself to what you want to be. And the other side is you're constantly uncomfortably building yourself until one day it's like you're the guy that somebody is asking questions to, right? I mean, that's a cool feeling. I remember when I was playing football my freshman year, um, like I felt like a baby, and I felt like I had no respect of the guys who have been there for a while. And then like junior year, senior year, like people are kind of looking at me, the newer guys, and they're like asking me things and are wondering how I do things. And it's kind of like, oh, like I did not see myself getting to this point. And I feel like that can be spread across whatever scenario that you're in, which is, you're in a stage of heavy asking questions right now. You're in a stage of learning. You're not teaching. And the more that you learn, the more you get better at the thing that you want to get better at, the more that you build and build and build and build and build. One day it's like, all right, like I'm kind of that dude now. I'm kind of that dude now, which is the goal, right? But you can't just become that dude, right? You can't just one day on that dude. No, dude, nobody has any respect for you. You haven't done anything. But in order to do, you have to build yourself up, and that's okay, right? Completely okay. You're gonna have to go through that phase in life where it's uncomfortable, as you're building yourself up. So anyway, anyway, um, discipline is the only thing that keeps me from drifting. I would say yes, also God. Um, but even discipline and faith is important. Um, yeah, I would say in order to see how successful somebody is going to be, look at what they do every day, and it kind of just you have to be disciplined in the things that you need to be disciplined in. Sometimes people are disciplined in things that are doing nothing for their lives. Um, and if I were to define discipline, I would say discipline is instilling a morale in yourself to consistently do something that you know is going to benefit you eventually, but in the moment sucks. That would be my definition of discipline. Doing something day in and day out that is going to get you towards your goal. But in the midst of doing it, it could be very easy to say, I'm not going to do this. And then you do it. That's discipline. And it really does keep you from drifting because I could sit here and try to do a 4 hour work block and I can tell myself, no, I'm just going to scroll. I'm just going to get on YouTube and going to block this out. No, I don't feel like doing this. But whenever you do something every day and you set the standard every day, it becomes less of a task and more of like this is just what I do. This is how I live, right? It's not like I have to sit here and work for however long I need to work. It's more like this is what I've done every day. I don't really see another thing for me to do. So you just do the thing. Um, so yeah, I would say discipline is extremely important. Discipline is probably the most important thing in pursuing something that you want to do because, and I'll give an explanation to that because if it's something you want to do, why is it hard to be disciplined? If you want to start a restaurant, if you knew that if you had a a restaurant that you owned that you you know poured your heart into and it was your mom all your mom's old recipes and you're like, man, that would just make my life amazing. I promise you that whenever you start doing that and you have to hire people and you have to buy equipment and you have to figure out all the building permits and regulations and you know all of these different conditions that uh, you have to do. That's not fun. That's not a fun thing to do, and you're probably not going to want to do it. And so all of a sudden it becomes all this thing that is my super duper uber duper passion is like exhausting and like I don't want to get out of bed to do this thing. That's everything, dude. That's everything, right? Like if if you want to be have something that holds true meaning in your life, you have to work for it. And that's in business, that's in relationships, that's in, you know, religion, it's in everything. And it's so weird because like the things you love the most, you had to work the hardest to get, right? Um, if you have a girlfriend or you're married, that's not something that you just put on the back burner if you want it to work. That's something that you have to consistently communicate, have honesty, do all of those different things that are not easy to do in order to hold on to the thing that you love. And so, yeah, even though something may look very shiny and oh, she's so beautiful, or this running this business would just like be the best thing for my life. If I had to guess, there's probably aspects, majority aspects of the thing that you're talking about that are going to be things that you don't want to do. And so staying disciplined is crucial in those times. All right. Let's see. Mental health for men has to include responsibility. Hmm. I'm gonna ask myself a question on that topic. Why do why do men struggle the most to admit when they're not okay? Um, I mean, this is me written all over it. I just man, I push myself to a point uh where I put on this face and I just go and go and go and go and try to ignore what's going on until I get to a point where I just break, you know, like so I'll uncontrollably like cry for like no reason, or I'll just get really pissed off at something that like I, is so small and stupid, and that's because I'm bad at talking about my true feelings, and I think it is important for guys to do that. And I don't think it has to be like weird, in a sense where most guys like categorize sharing feelings like it's a weird thing. I think it could just be like with your boy. Like if you get your best boy and you're like, look, dude, we need to sit down and I just need to rant like for a while. I feel like that is therapy in and of itself. Like me doing this is therapy. I feel like the reason I wanted to do this so bad was because I have just been like going, 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 going. So not mindlessly, but like mindlessly at the same time. Like I just know there's work that needs to be done. So I'm just gonna do that for a very long time and just kind of like ignore everything else. And in doing so, it's like you suppress a lot of thoughts and emotions and feelings. And I mean, that's just not good, right? Eventually, it's going to come out in some form or facet. And the last thing you want is for it to come out on somebody that doesn't deserve it or somebody that you love. And um, so, yeah, I definitely think that's my way. This right here is my way of handling mental health is just speaking like for an elongated period of time about whatever is on my brain, and it helps me like because I I'll talk business for so long, and I'll, be from one meeting to the next meeting to the working on this thing for hours and hours and hours and creating and whatever. And then it's like I get home and everything's just quiet and like it's just me. And it's like I haven't like had a conversation, like a real conversation with somebody in like a long time. And at least for me, like that over a good period of time is not beneficial. And I can tell, like I can feel it. Like I can feel like, man, I feel some type of way, but like today is no different than yesterday or the day before. So why do I feel this way? And so yeah, I this is my form of therapy, I guess, is just like speaking, like talking and unraveling everything that's jumbled up in my brain, whether that be, in front of this microphone and camera, um, or like with one of my boys. When it comes to like significant others, I don't know, like it's hard for me to do this just because I feel like as a man, I don't know why I said it like that. Man, as a man, like another man is gonna understand you, understand what you're going through. Um, and I don't think like telling your feelings to your significant other is a bad thing. But like for me to go up to my girl and, try to pour all this out on her, it's not that I think that she's like incapable of carrying a conversation like this. I don't think I'd get what I need out of the conversation. And there are things that, you that aspect is for conversationally. But as far as like these this outpour that you've heard for the last, I don't even know how long this has been going on, but um this is just something that I feel like I just needed to talk for however long. Um so yeah, I would say if you feel like you have maybe nobody, which I've felt like that multiple times, you probably have somebody, whether you think it or not. Um, Somebody that is willing to hear what you need to say, what you need to get off your chest. So go find that person, go sit down at a cafe, and just let it fly. And I feel like you will feel cleansed after you do that. Okay, maybe a couple more, and then I'll call it. Okay, this is a big one. I need stronger men around me. Hell yes, dude. Hell yes. Your life is depicted on who you're around. If you're around successful people, you're gonna want to be successful. And if you're around people that are in the same position as you, um, you'll probably stay in that same position, right? Um, that's one thing that I've worked very hard on in the past year is seeing somebody that like I want to get advice from and not only trying to get advice from them, but just stick around, like be their friend. Like people want friends, you know what I mean? People want to find somebody that that they're similar to, and they want to um be around. And I feel like whenever, like for me, before this last year, like I thought like this person is not gonna want to be friends with me. Like there's no way. And I'll kind of use um I'll give a story of something that kind of happened to me pretty recently. So one of my business partners um is an entrepreneur, and he's older than me. He's mid 40s, probably early 40s, and he is he's a beast. Like he owns a he owns a few companies and he does really well for himself. But he's also a freaking goofball, dude. Like he's a cornball. And like we joke around and we make fun of each other. And like my old self would have thought like, dude, there's no way that I could crack, freaking throw a jab at this guy. Like this dude, what? But like that's a possibility, you know. And I remember like this dude shows up every day that I see him in like swim shorts and a polo and flip flops. And I went to his house for the first time and I was like, what? Like, you're like that, dude? And I feel like it's because I got to know him and know who he really was and know that he wasn't much different than me, but our places in life are so much different and there because I made friends with this guy and like we talk and whatever, I almost brought him down to my level. Not like I knew he was much more successful than I am where he's at, but I didn't think it was at the capacity that it was, um, because he was so cool with me. And but I guess the point that I'm trying to make is the people that you know would want your life to look like theirs, and you might be scared to approach them or try to have a conversation or whatever the case is. If you just like try to be their friend and like just are a genuine person towards them, like they will more likely than not be your friend. And the people that are dragging you down and not benefiting your life in the way that you need them to benefit your life, I don't see the harm in cutting that person out, right? I mean, you might get like, hey, bro, like I haven't seen you at the bar in a while. I haven't seen you come out with us in a while. I haven't seen you on the game in a few weeks. That dissipates. That dissipates because that person never really, had a genuine connection with you. They did those things with you. And now that you're not doing those things, you naturally drift away from that pattern of life. And so so yeah, definitely keep stronger men around you. You always want someone better than you in the room with you, in your circle, in your space. If you are the best at whatever the case may be, if you're succeeding in life more than anyone else that you're hanging around with, you're probably not hanging around with the right people. And um, like that's very true. So always try to be around people that are doing better than you and that you want to be like, or not want to be like, but you want your life to look like. All right, maybe one more. Um, let's see. I don't know, I like that one. Uh, This is kind of worded a bit weird, but it says, "What if this season is not punishment but preparation?" And um, it it 100% feels like punishment in a way. Like it's gonna feel that way just because like it sucks. So it's gonna feel like punishment, but you kind of have to like you know shift your viewpoint on what is punishment, right? Like punishment is obviously something bad that happens to you because of another thing. But the thing that you're doing that feels bad is happening because you want to be successful. So would you call it punishment, right? It's just part of the process. And you're preparing yourself to be the man that you want to be or the woman. And that comes with a lot of trial and tribulation and building and things that we've talked about this entire time that I've been talking into this microphone. Um, but the more that you view this stage in your life as a bad thing, the more that you view this stage of your life as punishment, the more that you're going to believe that it is. But if you wake up every day and you can only afford to eat a hash brown from McDonald's, but you have the opportunity to do the thing that you want to do, and it might not be as luxury and as bougie as you'd hope to be, but you're doing the thing that is going to make you the person that you want to become. That I don't view that as punishment at all. I view that as an opportunity. I view that as um, going after something that not a lot of people have the balls to go after, and not a lot of people are willing to bring themselves down to this point of, I look like a loser now, but I'm building something and I'm doing something and I'm trying to make I'm trying to craft this purpose for my life, and not a lot of people are willing to do that. So I would flip that narrative of, oh, this sucks. Oh, like I'm not making money. Like the thing that I'm building is not making any progress. The you know I'm not. I hate going to the gym. I feel like I'm not. I'm not seeing any results in the mirror or whatever. Don't view that as a sucky thing. View it as a joy that you woke up and did something. You did something that not a lot of people want to do. That's not punishment. That is preparation, like the question said. So, anyways, I think that is going to be all for tonight. It's getting pretty late. I've been here for a very long time, so I'm gonna go home. But I'll end it with this. I'll just say, whatever pain that you think you're feeling, do the best that you can to turn that pain into a positive. It's all in the brain. Things suck. Life sucks. Sometimes you don't get things that you feel like you should get. Sometimes you're not in a stage of life where you thought you'd be at your age. And it's okay. I would say keep waking up, keep trying to earn the sunset, keep doing things throughout the day that are going to elevate you, not only in your ventures, whether that be business, athletics, whatever the thing that you're trying to elevate, but also just personally. You are making yourself a better person. The more that you fail, the more that you feel pain, the more that you get punched and kicked and spit on, the better person that you're going to be whenever you get back up. So just keep getting back up. Anyway, it's been real. I appreciate that I get to do this, that I get to speak and, just let it all out there. I mean, it feels great. And hopefully this will be something someday. So, anyway, y'all have a good day, night, whatever.